to talk to you about big data and software and knowledge sharing and collective intelligence, and I know that could get kind of boring. So I'm going to talk to you in light of movies, right? Because who doesn't like movies? That's fun. Biggest movie of all time, right? The Wizard of Oz. You know what year that came out? 1939. And it's hard to believe. In 1939, there were 131 million people in the United States when The Wizard of Oz came out. By the time I was born, in 1971, there were over 200 million people in the United States. And that's when Planet of the Apes came out. That's not me and my mom. If we look towards the future, by the year 2050, about the time Wall-E falls in love in the futuristic Wall-E movie, there will be 439 million people in the United States, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So obviously, the population is increasing dramatically. And what do all of these people have in common? There's one thing for sure. Everybody needs health care at some point in their life. And we're going to need a lot more Patch Adams out there. There is some good news, though. There's never been a greater demand, there's greater demand, but there's never been a greater resource of human intelligence and collective intelligence. So how do we tap into that? How do we have knowledge sharing so that we can share amongst ourselves? Well, let's look to the movie Dumb and Dumber. You may remember the 1990s Jim Carrey movie, Dumb and Dumber. They got a lot of things wrong in that movie, but there was one thing they did right. They shared. They knew how to share in Dumb and Dumber. They shared their data. Data sharing and peer review are critical to a collective intelligence system. Doesn't matter what it is, healthcare or otherwise. So data sharing and peer review are critical to healthcare IT in the future. Open systems and shared technology are how we achieve that. Imagine hospitals being able to talk to nursing homes, being able to talk to home health, sharing your data across the board, across all areas of care. Give you a little personal story. If you remember the movie The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey, I never expected to be in healthcare IT. I started out in the consumer web, and we worked with swarm algorithms to data mine the internet. We were doing all this cool next Google kind of thing. And like a lot of times you're trying to be the next Google in a startup company in Silicon Valley, you fail. By the way, those are not cave trolls, those are venture capitalists. See that? But the good news is we learned a lot. And along the way, I wound up in healthcare IT. And I realized that in a lot of ways, the software and the practices in health IT were far behind what was happening in the consumer web, which is interesting to me. And so I found myself in this kind of promised land of unprecedented opportunity. We really have a chance to affect positive change using technology today in healthcare in a very, very big way. A few months ago, last year, there was a paper that came out from the CIO Consortium and the Nurse Executive Council. It basically is nurses and CIOs of provider companies getting together and saying, hey, software guys, this is what we need in software. This is what we need you to build. And one of the big themes in that paper was collective intelligence and interoperability. And they cited things like Facebook and Twitter and Google and LinkedIn, right? These things that we've gotten used to on the consumer web. And then we ask, why can't we have these when we're at work? When we're working with patient data and that sort of thing. What if we could take those things from the consumer web and put them into long-term care or into healthcare in general? These are the kind of things that are showing up in this paper. To give you kind of a real-world example, a simple example, no pun intended. At SimpleLTC, we got thousands of providers nationwide. We transmit millions of MDSs to CMS. So we have all this data. So we've opened up this data to our provider network so that they can build rules and share best practices across the network and analyze the data on a very large data set. And that's just a simple way to leverage collective intelligence in kind of a real-world application that we're doing right now. The main thing I want you to take away from this is that we are in a perfect storm. If you remember the movie The Perfect Storm, there were two big storms that came together. And one of them is regulatory change, the other is technological change. It is causing a huge wave. So the question is, are you going to ride that wave? Or are you going to end up like the guys in The Perfect Storm? If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert, it doesn't work out well for the guys on the boat, right? And what you have to realize is that we're all on the boat. Whether you're a patient, a provider, a payer, we're all in this together. So insist on open data. Insist on open data practices from your software vendors. You have the power as a nurse to do that. And go do it. Thank you.
All right, good job.